You like that? You like that?
What's going on? It's Coach Williams, and I am back for another breakdown. So today we are going to talk Christian Gonzalez in his first career NFL game. I think he had a phenomenal first start against the Philadelphia Eagles, the defending NFC champions. They got two dominant receivers out there, and I think that he played really well in his opening action. So let's get right into this thing, okay? So one thing you're going to notice over the course of the game is Christian Gonzalez is playing boundary corner, okay? So boundary corner, what is the boundary corner? I've heard people in the New England media talking about this all wrong. Boundary corners are not outside corners, okay? So this is not a boundary corner. Christian Gonzalez is the boundary corner. What is that? It's the guy that lines up to the short side of the field, right? So if the ball is on the hash, he's going to line up on the same side as the ball. The field corner is going to play to the field, to the wide side of the field. Now, why is that important and why does that matter? Okay, this formation illustrates it really well. This is a 3-by-1 formation, okay? So it's 3-by-1. Usually, you're going to leave a solo receiver over here that you think can win against man-to-man coverage. So you're going to put your best corner, your boundary corner, into the boundary one-on-one with this guy. So you can end up in situations where you're one-on-one in man-to-man coverage with him, or it can be zone, right? And you get a 3-by-1 check and it essentially turns into man on the backside. So you need a dog to play that boundary corner position. And it seems like the Patriots trust him to be able to do that, all right? So some teams don't run a system like that. They just run with corners that play the left side and the right side. But in a system where you are making sure that a specific corner is to the boundary, that means that you think he's a dog, all right? So the allegations on Christian Gonzalez were that he was not physical. Well, the tape from this game tells a very different story, and we're going to kick it off with this first play here. They're running cover 2, which means he is the force player, okay? So he's the force player on this play, and it's a run play, all right? So Devontae Smith, a lot of people think Devontae Smith, oh, he's a smaller, like thinner receiver or whatever. You watch the tape on Devontae Smith, I would say he's one of the best blocking receivers that is a 1,000-yard potential receiver, right? A guy that can get a lot of completions, get touchdowns, make a lot of big plays. For a guy like that, he's one of the better blockers in the NFL. Well, Christian Gonzalez don't give a damn about that because he's controlling this block. Like I said before, cover 2, he's the force player. What does that mean? If run comes my way, I want to force it back into the pursuit. And he is controlling this block here. He gets his outside half free. He's controlling Devontae Smith with one arm. And Jalen Hurts is like, man, I'm not trying to run into this. I'm going to slide, all right? So that's a really good job, right? That force player is not the guy. Coaches don't want that guy to necessarily make the tackle. They want him to be the one that forces and controls the edge of the defense, right? So that's a great job by Christian Gonzalez. And we'll see a nice view of it from the tight here, okay? So Gonzalez is out here. He gets that one arm out, right? He's controlling Devontae Smith, right? Knocking his helmet back, right? Sitting down here, right? And allowing all of this pursuit to get to Hurts. And he's got to slide here, okay? So this next play here, all right? A lot over the course of the game, they were playing a lot of this soft off coverage here, okay? I think that they just did not want to give up any big plays. But he ended up in this soft off coverage here. And so he's in zone coverage here, and so he's off. And one thing that I complained about, or one minor knock I had about him in the draft, was his reaction time was not great sometimes, right? Well, the reaction time here is perfect. Look, the second A.J. Brown sits down, he sits down, right? So it's a really good job. And again, look, into the boundary corner, all right? So he sits down, Gonzalez sits down, drives the football, tackles him in open space, right? So all this talk about him not being physical, how many times have we seen A.J. Brown break tackles, right? He was not getting out of the clutches of Christian Gonzalez, all right? So up top here, All right, again, off coverage here. All right, soft off coverage. He bails out, gets into his half turn. And so one of the things, right, so it wasn't all perfect from the game or whatever. And one of the things that I really liked about his college tape was that he had the best speed turn I've ever seen coming out in the draft. And for some reason on this play, it just was not textbook here, right? It's usually textbook with him, but it was not textbook here, right? I always talk about when you get that speed turn, you want the head to turn first and the feet to turn afterwards, because the head is naturally going to take your feet to where you want to go. But he sits down, right? And that when you turn like this, when you speed turn like this with your feet, right, it makes the angle that you turn really wide, right? So he takes this wide, elongated angle here, and that leads to a completion. So unfortunately, did not show that off on that play, but this next one is going to look a lot better, all right? So they're in cover 3 zone again here. Again, look into the boundary, right? So cover 3 zone here. And so he does a good job of not chasing the receiver, right? Chasing that receiver's hips since it's zone coverage. It's not man. He just climbs with him, right? So he sinks, climbs with him, and then watch the speed turn here. Bang! Gets that head around and then creates a natural bracket with Mapu here. Tries to fit this into this tight window. Not on Christian Gonzalez and Marte Mapu, okay? So this one, he's in press coverage here, right? And so one of the things that I always felt when I was a corner was I liked to get my press reps very early in the game so I could get a rhythm and get a feel for what the release of the receiver was going to be. But they played a lot of soft zone coverage, a lot of off coverage, so he didn't really ever get a chance to get that feel for things. So he does the cardinal sin in press coverage here, opens the gate, right? So he opens the gate on this one, right? And then another thing that was not common of him, right? He usually played with really good pad level and would get nice and low. Here he's playing way too high, can't get out of his break, right? His headgear is way too high, but he gets in here and makes a tackle and gets him out of bounds. But that's something that I'm confident that he will clean up because it was all over his college tape, right? Usually plays with really good headgear. So this was one of the favorite plays for anyone that wanted to see Christian Gonzalez have a good night on Sunday. All right. Condensed edge. I think that this was a check because the Eagles were playing with some condensed edges here, and I think they told them if you get a condensed edge, we can greenlight a corner blitz here, right? So if you get that condensed edge, we're going to run the corner blitz, right? So you can see he's on the top of the numbers in the NFL. That's super tight, right? So condensed edge comes off the edge. They're playing cover 3 behind it. Terrible job by this tight end here blocking, right? But he gets down. This looks like a combine drill here, right? When they get those rhino rings out and you got to run around the ring, right? Turn around that corner, right? Bend the corner here. He bends the corner, gets in here, and I don't want to hear anything about no physicality, about Christian Gonzalez. This is Jalen Hurts, one of the most physical quarterbacks in the NFL. Gets in here, sacks him, solo tackles him in the backfield. Like, come on, man. That's impressive in your first ever NFL game. All right. So now, again, another press rep here. Again, he opens the gate. Cardinal sin here in press coverage. But it's all good because he has the athleticism to redirect, gets on top of the route, and again, solo tackle on A.J. Brown in the middle of the field. Like, stop with this physicality nonsense. Then the big play, right? The big play on 4th down. They're going cover 0 here. He's playing catch technique and off coverage, okay? The route breaks in front of him. And I heard Tony Romo saying, he got there a little bit early. No, he did not get there early. This is okay, right? You have a right to get your hand on the hip of the receiver as long as you don't turn his hip or impede his path, okay? You can place the hand on there. It's still football, ladies and gentlemen. Gets in with the opposite hand, knocks the football down. Great job by Christian Gonzalez here, okay? In a pressure-packed moment, they decided to go up against him. And again, let's see this one here. If we go all the way back to it, what is it? Boundary corner, playing into the boundary on the backside of a 3-by-1. That means they think Christian Gonzalez is a dog, okay? Great play here. Great play here. All right, and so there's one last play that I wanted to put on here, all right, because I wanted to hammer home this physicality stuff, okay? So I believe they're playing cover 2 here, right? So it's press cover 2. He gets his jam, knocks the hell out of Devontae Smith so badly, he bangs into the tight end, right? What are we talking about here with the physicality stuff? This is a great play by him, ends up being a completion, but this is what we're talking about when we talk about physicality from the corner position, right? It's disrupting routes, right? There's a really good job of disrupting the routes. Unfortunately, it ends up being a completion, but Christian Gonzalez did his job on that play, and he did it well, okay? So that's it for this breakdown. You know, I really enjoyed watching Christian Gonzalez in his first ever game, but now that was a big test, but this one is an even bigger test because they're going to be going up against Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle in that Miami Dolphins offense. So I'm excited for him to see if he can pass the test again. And you know, Coach Williams is going to be back with more breakdowns. So as always, you know what it is. It's Coach Williams, Ball Hawks. We fly. I'm out. Peace.